What's different about marketing a fintech business today?
For me as a manager, it's very important to make sure that we are proactive for the times when you need to be reactive.
How would you sum up FX Pro's partnership with Google?
At FX Pro, we value being fast and adaptable, and Google definitely helps us achieve this.
My guest today is Valentina Buchareva, a genuine innovator and leader in the digital marketing space. Valentina is head of marketing and analytics at FX Pro, the award-winning trading platform at the cutting edge of fintech and finance. In a pretty short space of time, Valentina has totally reimagined the FX Pro brand identity to be one of sophistication and dynamism, and her ability to keep pace with the global fintech industry is impressive. Valentina joins me today to talk about how she and her team are using Google's advanced tools to stay one step ahead of this ever-changing industry. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Valentina, I've been really looking forward to this conversation. You have such an interesting role for such an interesting company, FX Pro, where you joined 4 years ago.
Yes, I joined in 2021. Originally, I started in the company as marketing analyst, but for the last 3 years, I am a head of marketing and analytics.
And a role that suits you down to the ground, as results will tell. And I'm really looking forward to unpacking what you're doing. If we go back a bit though, your CV is fascinating because you didn't come from a trading world or a finance world. You came to FX Pro from Cyprus Airways, right?
Yes, I had maybe quite an unusual shift. I used to work in the aviation industry for quite some times. And for the last 2 years, I was working as Deputy Chief Commercial Officer in Cyprus Airways here in Cyprus. And then I decided that it is a good time for me to change in industry and try something new.
Something we have in common. My father was an airline man, and so I grew up spending my childhood around aviation. So I actually understand that industry a little. And in a way, it's really different, right? So what I learned about aviation, you're talking in razor-thin margins, huge volatility, massive complexity, and that shift to leave a world where you have a physical product to sell, in an airline to an app-first fintech business at the cutting edge of trading and a digital product, it's definitely not an obvious jump. And I'm interested in what made you make that leap in the first place, and how have you found that transition?
The main difference is the fact that in airlines, you always work with physical product, and you could actually go and see your clients at the airport. In fintech industry, of course, you can do your research and do some studies, but you would probably never see your clients. But at the same time, having digital products is removing a lot of limitations because you don't work with limited supplies like we have in aviation industry.
And do you think there's some truth in, all that volatility and complexity in the aviation world? Does that breed a kind of a discipline, a resilience, a structure that you brought with you?
For sure. Aviation industry in general is very disciplined and teach you to be very disciplined from the first day. And this kind of mentality is something that I wanted to bring to fintech.
And actually, as you're speaking, I'm thinking maybe they're more similar than I gave them credit for, because I assume a trading world and a finance world is equally volatile in a different way.
Especially for the last maybe 10 years, aviation industry also had some volatile periods. And another thing that this industry also very dynamic. fintech industry also have their own dynamic and their own volatile things.
I'm curious, did that outsider perspective help you when you first started? Do you think that was attractive to FX Pro when they hired you?
I think it was kind of an experiment for the whole team to have somebody with outside perspective. And because I used to be an analyst, it's essentially something that analysts do on a daily basis, check the data that they don't know and try to understand patterns without any perspective and understanding actually how it could be related to actually what is happening. So a lot of things that we did when I joined the company is just looking at number and understanding without actually knowing about trading what could be discrepancies and what kind of things that we could improve. And that led to a lot of changes that we did with our marketing structure and also our marketing strategy that I hope overall improved and grew the company.
So I'd love to talk about marketing in the fintech space. Where is fintech at right now? Like what disruption has it caused or is it causing in the finance world?
If we look back to, let's say, 10, 15 years, definitely trading and fintech industry was completely different. So it was available to limited number of consumers who had their brokers or bank accounts, and essentially institutional companies were telling consumers what they need to trade and how they need to do it. Now it is completely opposite. Our clients, they have, all of them, they have their mobile phones and they trade instantly on a go. And also now it's consumers who tell us where the market and where the industry would evolve because they demand specific product. And a good example of this would be all the things that are happening with crypto trading.
I mean, it's incredible to think how democratized trading and investments have become. As you say that, it's just astonishing. And to think of it as a consumer-led industry now, that consumers are actually being that demanding, is fascinating. So what's different or important about marketing a fintech business today?
In general, industry very dynamic, and also marketing in fintech is very dynamic. So you need to take every opportunity that you have to scale and to grow, and you need to have the right processes to make sure that when opportunity comes, you actually would be able to take it.
There's this proactivity that you need to be able to react.
It's very important to make sure that we are kind of proactive for the times when you need to be reactive.
That's really, really good framing. And I guess you're a great example of that, and FX Pro is a great example of reacting to opportunity when they come, because you joined the company in quite the growth spurt. And from what I gather, you invested further in that team, right?
We invested a lot in creativity team, and it may sound a bit unlogical, but working in marketing and especially in user acquisition, you need to produce a lot of content, different type of content, to make sure that you can test everything and understand what works for you better and what works for your clients. And at the same time, for us, it was very important to have high quality content. So having a mix of those to make sure that we produce more content, but at the same time to make sure that it's a quality content, we invested a lot in expanding our creative team in order to facilitate this growth that we wanted to have.
I mean, you say it sounds illogical. I don't think it sounds illogical, but I think it might sound a little surprising to some people when they think about a finance brand and a team with a very strong background in data analytics to understand the value and invest in great creative capability. But it makes a ton of sense. I mean, it really does in terms of being able to capture the intrigue and the interest of the consumer. So I love that you've done that. How much has the team expanded?
Our team expanded 3 times, actually more than 3 times. And it was not only creative teams, but also analytical teams increased a lot. But I would say that creative team expansion was one of the first things that I did because we actually saw that it's something that we need to do quite fast.
I really think there's a superpower in this data and creative axis, this art and science blend, this ability, particularly when you think about how powerful personalization can become. I think this ability to have really strong data capabilities and really strong creative capabilities is incredibly exciting. And what about the role of partners in all of this success and all of this growth? Do you believe in partnerships? Do you have many partnerships?
We do believe in partnerships, especially long-term partnerships. And for our company specifically, it is a big privilege to be on the market for quite some time. So we do have a strong, long-term partnership like we have with Google. And in our industry, especially when it's dynamic and when it's volatile, it's very important to have partners to whom you can rely on. And also you can know that when you need some advice or when you need some changes, your partners could actually provide it.
Tell me a little bit more about the tools you're using. What products in the Google stack are FX Pro using today?
Basically, we use it all. We use Google Cloud for storing the data and also for some AI tools that are now offered there. We use Google Analytics, of course, for tracking. I think it's essential. And in terms of Google Ads, we use more or less all type of campaigns, starting from classic ones like search, but we're also adding campaigns that more video heavy, like PMax or Demand Gen. And on top of that, we also have app campaigns, different types, TCPA and TROAS as well.
And you mentioned TROAS for apps, so I think that's a really interesting example to dig in a little bit. I'd love you to explain, if you can, kind of the basic principles of TROAS for your business, why you made that move towards TROAS for apps.
So TROAS essentially is a tool that allows you to target on return of ad spend. And for us, it's very important because basically what it does, it checks revenue that comes from clients that clicked on specific ads and compare it with the spends for these ads. And if we compare it to, let's say, TCPA campaign. In TCPA campaigns, you have event and system target on this event to happen. With TROAS campaigns, you not only counting on specific event to happen, but also on the revenue of this event, and also long-term revenue from these clients that are coming from these clicks.
Which is such a fundamental point on strategy. So in a way, if you're selling phones and they cost $100, it's easy. I want more customers to click and buy $100. But a product like yours, the steps are more complex and the lifetime value of that customer is much more complex. So I guess what you're saying, if I play back to you, what you're saying is the shift to TROAS, it's not just about getting someone to download your app or register. You actually then want them to make deposits and invest more and more over time. And so being able to understand the value of the customer that you ultimately want and find more of those customers who will bring you more value over the longer term, that's the shift, right?
It is exactly like that with e-commerce website. Usually it's install, they go and purchase. So for us, it was very important to understand that we don't lose this time that we have with all the procedures that our clients need to do.
How did you work with Google to tackle that challenge, particularly in the beginning?
I think we were actually one of the first companies to whom Google offered to test TROAS campaigns. And we were actually quite happy to test this because for our industry, it sounds very logical. And the fact that you can actually target on quality of your clients is something that we were looking at for quite some time. So when we had it, we took the opportunity to test it.
There's a particular case study, right? You guys did a case study on TROAS. I'd love to hear more about that if you can share.
It was for Asian region, and we launched a few TROAS campaigns that were running at the same time with TCPA campaigns. And the goal of these campaigns were basically to check what will be difference in your costs per client, and also what will be difference in quality of clients, and what will be difference in overall deposits.
And what results did you see?
Actually, the results were quite impressive, considering that we were running these campaigns at the same time. We could compare it and could see that TROAS campaigns brought 76% reduction in CPA costs and also 40% increase in ROAS, which is quite impressive. And at the same time, total deposits grew by 22%.
It's really fantastic work. And it's great to see you guys reap the results of that because you were an early adopter. And I'd love to just understand this culture point a little bit more, because I know you're also very open to betas, and you're saying you and your team always want to try new things. And again, not always normal and not always typical. It's a really interesting part of your culture. Where do you think that thirst for innovation, for new things in you comes from?
In general, I don't believe that the world that we live in is static. I think that you need to be agile, and you need to accept that there always be a change. But at the same time, learning takes time, and also learning takes resources. So as a team, it's something that we had to accept, that in order to evolve, we would need to spend some time for learning and understanding new things.
I absolutely love your approach, and I love your mindset. And I think TROAS is an example of a very commercial aspect of your marketing strategy. But you also mentioned earlier this focus on creativity. And I think we have to talk about that too, because AI and technology is changing the creative content game now too. And I know you're exploring video generation tools like VO3 with Google, and I'm really curious, how is that impacting your output as well?
To be honest, I think AI now, especially for creative part, is essential for our everyday work. And tools, especially like Veo Free, show our team that you could basically remove all the limits on creativity that we used to have with all the productions and high cost of productions. Now you could do anything just only using your computer, and it helps us a lot. First of all, be more creative, but also reduce our costs, because AI allows you to create a lot of similar content, maybe with some small variations. And this is essential for user acquisition campaigns specifically, because you always need to test new approaches in creatives to find the one which is working better for your clients.
Your ambition is really striking in everything that you say. You seem to be pushing the boundaries on all fronts. I've heard that you set ambitious goals for your team. Is that fair?
Well, they say sometimes that it's not fair, but every year when we discuss our goals for next year, every year they say to me that these KPIs, they are a bit crazy and not achievable. But I think that when you set your goals and you also did your planning, and the whole team understands what exactly you need to do to achieve these goals, you would achieve it. And every year, in the end of the year, everybody is surprised that we actually achieve these goals that we have. And I just consider myself maybe the biggest cheerleader of my team. I truly believe that they could do anything. Just let them do their work.
I'm going to ask you about being a female leader in a fintech space. Historically, not a space for a lot of female leaders. What's your perspective on what have you learned about being a female leader in this space?
I consider myself quite fortunate to work in the company with a lot of female leaders. So when I joined FX Pro, for me, to see that it's not a limitation was a big factor why I joined FX Pro. But at the same time, it is true that in general, industry is predominantly male. When I started my career, it was very important for me that I had female managers as role models for me. So I hope that now I am a role model for other female leaders in our company.
Is it an exciting time, do you think, for fintech, for investing?
It is always exciting times, but you never know what will happen next, and it's always a challenge, and this is very exciting part of the job for me.
Valentina, how would you sum up FX Pro's partnership with Google?
Our partnership with Google is for sure valuable and trustworthy. I am confident that we can rely on Google on every step of our user journey. It's acquiring users and also remarketing, not only during normal times, but also on volatility, because Google allow us to have the tools needed to make sure that we can capture this opportunity. At FX Pro, we value being fast and adaptable, and Google definitely helps us achieve this.
It's been a wonderful conversation. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your experience with us.
Thank you very much, Sarah. It's been a pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.